At a parking garage near the United Nations, a Chinese intelligence officer secretly meets a traitor for a tense exchange. Their meeting ends abruptly when two DSS agents step in and try to stop them. However, the traitor reacts first and opens fire. Within moments, both agents are dead while the killer escapes. 6 months later, on a busy Chicago morning, a tow truck driver named Mark Warren begins his day like usual. But as he drives through the city, he is forced off the road when another car cuts into his lane. His truck flips over, leaving him with a broken arm. Emergency crews arrive and begin helping him into an ambulance. While checking his truck, a firefighter discovers a hidden handgun and passes it to the police as routine procedure. Mark's injuries are minor, and after a short treatment, he prepares to leave the hospital. His girlfriend Marie pays the medical bill and helps him get ready to go home. But just as they are about to leave, police officers step in and arrest Mark, leaving the couple completely confused. Across the city, Deputy US Marshal Samuel Gerard is busy with another operation. To avoid suspicion, he disguises himself as a giant chicken mascot outside a house while watching two fugitive brothers. The plan works. When the brothers arrive with their girlfriends, Gerard's team quickly moves in and storms the house. Their arrest turns messy. The fugitives and their girlfriends fight back fiercely. Gerard, still trapped in the chicken costume, tries to block a woman swinging a pan at him while his teammates wrestle the larger brother in the living room. The fight finally stops when Newman fires a shot that hits the second fugitive in the shoulder as he reaches for a gun. Even then, the larger brother keeps resisting until Gerard knocks him down. Later, the media criticizes the marshals for using excessive force. One brother receives 27 stitches, while the other leaves with a gunshot wound in his shoulder. Gerard and his team ignore the complaints and celebrate their successful capture at a nearby bar. Meanwhile, Mark faces questioning in an interrogation room. Detectives ask about the handgun found in his truck, reminding him that handguns are banned in Chicago. Mark explains that he carries it only for protection since he works very early in the morning. But the gun is not the real reason for his arrest. The detectives reveal that his fingerprints match those found at the double homicide in United Nations parking garage 6 months earlier. Mark strongly denies the accusation, and the situation grows tense. During the struggle, he manages to break a detective's glasses frame and secretly keeps the broken piece, already thinking about a possible escape. Later that night, after capturing the Conroy brothers, Gerard attends a small gathering with a woman. His superior, Marshal Catherine Walsh, soon pulls him aside for a private talk. She warns him that the injured fugitives might sue the department for excessive force. Gerard explains how difficult the arrest was, but Walsh cuts the discussion short. Instead, she gives him a new assignment. Gerard must oversee the transport of the Conroy brothers back to Tennessee on a federal prisoner flight leaving at midnight. With little choice, he leaves the party and prepares for the trip, joining a flight that carries only prisoners and guards. During the flight, a quiet Chinese passenger keeps watching Mark from his seat. After a while, the man asks to use the restroom. Even though the plane is only about 20 minutes from its destination, the guards allow it. While the guards turn away for a moment, the man secretly pulls out a small pen gun. At the same time, Mark uses the broken glasses frame he stole earlier to unlock his handcuffs. When the hitman returns from the restroom, he suddenly lunges at Mark and tries to fire the weapon. The shot misses, and the violent struggle throws the entire plane into chaos. The pilots begin searching for an emergency landing. They finally spot a wide road and bring the aircraft down, but the strip is too short and ends near power lines. The plane crashes through the area and slides off the road before plunging into a river. Water quickly rushes into the cabin. Gerard immediately takes control of the situation. He divides the marshals into two groups, sending one team to the riverbank to secure the area, while the other helps the prisoners escape before the aircraft sinks. As he moves through the wreckage rescuing people, Gerard notices that Mark has already freed himself from his cuffs. Instead of reacting, Gerard calmly hands Mark a flashlight and orders him to hold it steady while he pulls the remaining prisoners out. In the middle of the chaos, Mark quietly takes his chance and slips away. Gerard manages to rescue the final prisoner, but soon realizes that the man holding the flashlight is gone.
Still got one prisoner unaccounted for. Mark Roberts, seated in 10D. We got a fugitive.
Without wasting time, Gerard orders a wide search along the river and the surrounding area. His team soon reports something strange. There are almost no official records about Mark Warren, except for the fingerprints that link him to the double homicide at the United Nations garage. Soon after, DSS Director Bertram Lamb arrives at the crash site along with Special Agent Barros. They confirm that Mark is the man responsible for killing their 2 agents 6 months earlier. Because of that, they want him captured as quickly as possible. Before leaving, they assign one of their men, Agent John Royce, to work with Gerard's team. Gerard immediately makes it clear that he is still in charge of the operation. While examining Royce's pistol, he casually suggests that the agent might want to carry a spare weapon, considering the kind of work they are about to face. Later, the crashed plane is finally pulled from the river, and Gerard's team moves in to inspect the wreckage. Inside the damaged cabin, Gerard discovers the strange pin gun used during the attack. The weapon raises new questions about what really happened on the plane. Later, Royce secretly reports the discovery to his own superiors without telling Gerard. When Gerard catches him passing information behind his back, he immediately places Royce in handcuffs and warns him to follow orders as long as he remains part of this team. Royce calmly takes Cosmo's glasses and unlocks the cuffs in seconds. The marshals watch with quiet surprise. Gerard only smiles slightly, realizing that Mark used the exact same trick to escape. Meanwhile, Mark forces a truck driver to help him at knife point, threatening the driver's wife to keep them quiet. As they approach a police checkpoint, Mark orders the driver to act normal. The man speaks calmly to the officers, just as Mark instructed, while his wife secretly tries to signal for help. Mark notices the signal immediately. Before the police can react, he forces the driver to push through the checkpoint and speed away. Although Mark escapes once again, the news quickly reaches Gerard and his team. Soon after, Gerard catches up with the stolen truck, but Mark is already gone. The driver explains that Mark forced him to stop near a swamp and disappeared into the forest with the driver's gun. Gerard immediately organizes a search, and the police move carefully through the swamp using small boats. Minutes later, John Royce spots Mark hiding high in a tree and quickly alerts the others. Instead of waiting for backup, Royce moves in alone and tries to capture him. The plan backfires when Mark suddenly points a gun at him. Gerard arrives just in time to face Mark himself. For the first time, Gerard calmly tells him to surrender and stop making things worse. Mark answers with a quick shot at Gerard's vest and escapes deeper into the swamp. Fortunately, as the bullet only hit Gerard's vest, he was still alive. Wasting no time, he splits his team into several groups to investigate further. One team traces the origin of the strange pen gun, another digs into Mark's past, and a third reviews the double homicide. Even though Mark's background remains mostly empty, the team manages to identify his girlfriend Marie through hospital records. At the same time, Mark travels to New York and meets an old friend who once helped him create fake identification. When the friend asks about the rumors surrounding him, Mark admits he did kill the 2 agents, but insists it happened in self-defense after someone tried to set him up. After collecting the money he had hidden earlier, Mark rents a small room across from the United Nations headquarters. Back in Chicago, Gerard and his team visit Marie and question her about Mark. She refuses to believe the accusations against him and argues that Mark could never commit such crimes. Gerard eventually stops the questioning and politely apologizes before leaving. Still, he quietly orders his men to keep watching her, convinced that Mark will try to contact her soon. Not long after, Cosmo brings new information. The employee responsible for placing the pen gun on the plane recently quit his job and disappeared after receiving a suspicious payment. The man is believed to be hiding at a local gym. Gerard quickly leads the team there. Inside the gym, a Chinese man casually tells them that the person they are looking for is in the shower room. When Gerard's team enters, they discover the employee already dead. By the time they rush back outside, the Chinese man who gave them the information has vanished. The case suddenly grows more complicated. Their fugitive had fought a Chinese hitman on the plane, and now another Chinese killer appears at the gym. Meanwhile, Gerard's prediction turns out to be correct. Mark calls Marie at her workplace and asks her to travel to New York with a briefcase containing documents he previously hid. What Mark does not realize is that Gerard's team has already tapped the phone line, allowing them to hear the entire conversation and learn about his plan. Before leaving for New York that night, Gerard gathers his team to review the security footage from the United Nations parking garage. The video shows Mark meeting with the same Chinese man seen at the gym. Moments later, the two DSS agents interrupt them and a violent fight breaks out. The Chinese man is knocked unconscious during the struggle, while Mark manages to shoot both agents before leaving the scene with the briefcases. As Gerard studies the footage carefully, he notices something strange. He brings his concern to Marshal Catherine Walsh. He explains that the DSS claimed they matched Mark's fingerprints at the crime scene, yet the video clearly shows Mark wearing gloves the entire time. To Gerard, that means someone inside DSS may be lying. Both of them travel to New York to confront DSS Director Bertram Lamb directly. Under pressure, Lamb finally explains the hidden operation behind the case. Mark Warren's real name is Mark Sheridan. In the past, he served in the US Marine Special Forces and later worked with the CIA before being recruited by BSS. Sheridan's mission was to secretly obtain information from a Chinese intelligence officer named Chen, who was posing as a Chinese representative at the United Nations. The goal was to expose a mole inside the system who had been selling American secrets to China. According to Lamb, the plan collapsed when Sheridan suddenly turned against them. Lamb claims Sheridan killed the two DSS agents and disappeared with the money, destroying the entire operation and leaving them without enough evidence to expose Chen. After hearing the explanation, Catherine and Gerard understand the larger situation and agree that Sheridan must be captured before the situation grows worse. Meanwhile, Marie boards a flight from Chicago to New York, carrying the briefcase Mark asked for. Once Gerard learns this, he quickly mobilizes his team across the city to locate Mark before he reaches her. The next morning, Newman manages to track down Mark's hideout. Gerard and the team move in quickly, but when they break into the room, Mark has already disappeared. Still, they discover that he has been watching the Chinese consulate, clearly searching for Chen. Around the same time, Marie enters the women's dressing room of a busy mall and secretly hands the briefcase to Mark. The moment Gerard hears the update, he orders his team to rush inside. But Mark stays one step ahead once again and escapes before they can reach him. Even though they miss Sheridan again, the Marshals continue their surveillance on Chen. Soon they see Chen exchange a briefcase with another man at a crowded street crossing. Instead of moving in immediately, Gerard decides to keep watching and splits his team to follow both targets. Chen calmly returns to the Chinese consulate, while the other man drives toward a quiet cemetery. There, he enters a small chapel, leaves the briefcase inside, and then drives away without drawing attention. Meanwhile, John Royce and Cosmo remain outside the Chinese consulate, unaware that Chen has already slipped away. Back at the cemetery, Gerard calls them to join him and leaves local police to continue watching the consulate. At that moment, BSS agent Barrows quietly drives into the cemetery, blending in with the cars arriving for a funeral. He enters the chapel just as Gerard's team moves into position. Gerard tells Newman to check if there is a back exit. Inside the building, Mark suddenly appears in disguise and confronts Barrows face to face. With a gun pointed directly at him, Mark demands the truth about what really happened. Barrows quickly claims that Director Lamb simply wanted to shut down the operation and blamed Mark to cover it up. The explanation does not satisfy Mark. Still holding him at gunpoint, he forces Barrows outside, determined to finally uncover the truth behind the entire setup. At that moment, Chen fires directly at Mark from the rooftop, but the bullet strikes Barrows in the head, killing him in the middle of the cemetery. Gunfire erupts between Gerard and Chen as the situation turns chaotic. In the confusion, Mark manages to jump into Marie's car and speed away. Just as he reaches the cemetery entrance, John and Cosmo arrive in their vehicle, and the two cars crash into each other at the gate. Back near the chapel, officers manage to capture Chen alive while Gerard rushes toward the entrance. Mark and Marie recover first from the crash and quickly run for the fence. When they reach it, Marie can no longer climb over. Realizing there is no time left, Mark leaves her behind and escapes alone just moments before Gerard arrives. John soon joins Gerard, and the two continue the pursuit. Mark runs into a nearby nursing home, hoping to disappear inside the crowded building. Gerard and John follow him through the corridors and up several floors, but they soon lose track of him and begin searching room by room. Not long after, more officers arrive at the building. Newman rushes upstairs and enters a room where Mark and John are already fighting. When Newman steps inside, John suddenly shoots him. Mark uses the moment of confusion to escape once again. Gerard reaches the room seconds later and finds Newman dying on the floor with John standing nearby. Believing Mark shot his man, Gerard immediately continues the chase. But before he can react, Mark jumps from the rooftop and lands on a moving train below, escaping once again. Newman later dies from the wound, leaving Gerard deeply shaken. Determined to finish the case, he orders his team to track every possible escape route out of New York. Soon they discover Mark's abandoned car in New Jersey. Inside, they find motion sickness medicine. After studying the clue, Gerard realizes Mark is likely planning to escape by sea. Cosmo confirms that only one freighter is leaving that night for Canada. Without waiting for backup, Gerard immediately heads for the ship alone. Cosmo tries to stop him and urges him to wait for the rest of the team, but Gerard refuses, reminding him who gives the orders. Even as tensions rise within the group, John calmly offers to help and joins Gerard on the mission. At the harbor, the ship has only a few passengers boarding, making it easy for them to search the vessel. Before long, they spot Mark and the chase begins again. Mark runs across the deck until he finally turns to fight. The struggle leads them into a large cargo hold that is being filled with grain. The unstable surface makes every movement dangerous, but neither man slows down. They continue fighting while slowly sinking into the grain beneath their feet. In the end, Mark gains the upper hand and points his gun at Gerard. But in that brief hesitation, John fires first and hits him in the shoulder. Even with the chase finally over, Gerard cannot shake the strange feeling that something still does not fit. Mark's behavior during the entire pursuit keeps bothering him. Each time they faced each other, Mark had a chance to kill him, yet he always hesitated. While thinking about it, Gerard casually looks at Mark's pistol. The weapon suddenly reminds him of the gun John Royce carried when they first met. The design looks almost identical. The realization slowly forms in Gerard's mind. At some point, the guns must have been switched. Staying calm, Gerard later asks John if he can see his pistol. As they talk casually, Gerard quietly removes the magazine and replaces it with an empty one before handing the weapon back. John never notices the change. Gerard then excuses himself, saying he's going to get a cup of coffee. Moments later, John enters Mark's hospital room alone. Believing the gun is still loaded, he prepares to finish the job. To make it look like self-defense, he even places a knife in Mark's hand. Just before he can act, Gerard calmly walks into the room. Without raising his voice, Gerard asks the question that has been waiting all along. He wants to know why John shot Newman. With no way left to hide the truth, John finally admits everything and pulls the trigger at Gerard. The gun clicks empty. Before John can react, Gerard fires first and shoots him on the spot. Days later, Mark fully recovers in the hospital. With the truth finally exposed, all charges against him are dropped and he is released. The soldier who stayed loyal to his country walks free at last, while the real traitors, Barrows and John Royce, pay the price for their betrayal. However, Gerard still has more work waiting for him. He finds Cosmo and apologizes for yelling at him earlier. Cosmo accepts it easily, showing the same respect he always had for his leader.